Coming up on episode 280 of Wheel Bearings, I'm back from CES with all of the interesting stuff that happened there in automotive space. Nicole has been driving the Mercedes-Benz AMG EQS, and Robbie rented a Kia Sorento. All that and more coming up next. This is Wheel Bearings episode 280, the first new episode for 2023, and I am Sam Abu-Al-Samad from Guidehouse Insights.
And I am Nicole Wakeland, and this week we will say Forbes.
All right.
And I am Roberto Baldwin from Tom's Guide. It's a site, not just a guy.
Excellent. All right, Robbie, why don't you go first?
Oh, all right. So I didn't get a press car in. Instead, I went up to the mountains this past week, and I rented a Kia Sorento.
So you wanted to get as far away from CES as you possibly could, huh?
I did. It's the last few years. Last year, my wife walked into my office. She's like, "You don't have a job, right?" I'm like, "Hey." She's like, "So you don't have to go to CES?" I'm like, "Well, not really." And if I don't, she's like, "Yeah, they're not going to CES." And then this year was sort of the same thing. She's like, "You don't have to go to CES, do you?" I'm like, "Well, I can make a lot of money." She's like, So instead, I did
That's
exactly
the kind of attitude I like from a partner.
Yeah. So instead, I did exactly one article about CES, most actually a video about CES, and then I went to the mountains. And I needed to rent a car, and we have our bomb cyclone or cyclone bomb, or I don't know.
Bomb cyclone.
Yeah.
I think it's bomb cyclone.
We're getting a lot of rain in a short amount of time, and then it's a dry day, and then a lot of rain in a short amount of time, and then it's a dry day. And like, hey, you want 5 inches of rain in a day? Yeah. So I had asked for an all-wheel drive vehicle to take up to the mountains. Our Hyundai is front-wheel drive. It has high-efficiency tires on it. That's no. The BRZ, dogs won't fit in it. The Jaguar, it's a Jaguar.
But worse, it's an old Jaguar.
It's an old Jaguar. So I asked for a 4Runner or similar, and when I got there, they're like, "Would you like this Kia Sorento?" And I said, "Yes, I would." And it was delightful. It's a Kia Hyundai Motor Group. Okay, so I built it. Remember, this is a rental spec, which means it's like it doesn't have much of anything. But I built the same car, and the most expensive thing was adding the white paint, which is like another $500.
They charged you $500 extra for white paint?
That's what Kia does.
White?
Because they have gray,
God.
darker gray, and then darker gray for free. And then and then you can get the white paint is like $445. So the car is $31,860. It was all-wheel drive, 3 rows. Obviously, we put down all the second and third row, put the dogs back there. They were happy. It's got an 8-speed transmission. It's got snow mode, which was nice because we actually did drive up to the snow, so the dog could run around in the snow, so that was nice. 17-inch alloy wheels. That's like these really nice, thick sidewalls was the I got on there, which is I think sidewalls need to come back. We need big, thick sidewalls because it makes the drive nicer. You have thinner. You have these little teeny tiny sidewalls. Guess what? Your
ride quality goes
goes down.
Down.
It's got a all-wheel drive, and you can there's a center locking differential if you need it for whatever reason. Just boop. And this is
almost like a real SUV.
Yeah,
Who knew?
Almost like a real SUV. I really probably didn't even need snow. I mean, I was driving on snow, but I probably would have been fine without it. And I just put in the LX trim because that's the cheapest thing they got. It had lane keep assist, lane centering, but it didn't have adaptive cruise control. It had regular cruise control, which is whatever. I tried it for like a hot second, and I'm like, all right, I'm done with this. But overall, no, it's a nice car. Lots of room. It was comfortable. It's a 3.5 hour, 4 hour, depending on traffic and weather, up to where we went. We went up to Oakhurst, and there's room for the dogs. Bowie had a little trouble like standing straight up because he's a German Shepherd with the seats down, but he's fine. We put a big blanket, and then they have a nice big bed that we put back there. They're very pampered dogs. This is for $32,000. If you're looking for a nice SUV, like just bare bones cheap, but you still have a third row, You still have all-wheel drive. You have a snow mode if that's a thing you have to deal with, and you have the center locking differential. I looked down, I'm like, oh, that's nice. Look at that.
In a world where average transaction prices have gotten up to something like $48,000 in the U.S., that's a bargain.
It is. It's a bargain.
Always a bargain.
Yeah, and I was getting like 30, about 28.5 to 29 miles per gallon.
So.
That's up and down, on the way there and the way back. I just put it in smart mode, where it puts it in eco mode or comfort or sport, depending on how you're using the accelerator. I'm not racing a Kia Sorento anywhere. Most of the time you're on the freeway, and then you're on back roads where it's raining like crazy, so it wasn't
I'm trying to envision you flying along in that with the dogs with their head out the window, ears
Yeah,
flapping.
that's the other thing is, the dogs, you can't just like take off and yeah. So it's got a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder engine, so it's kind of a 100. It's not a huge engine, 191 horsepower, 182 pound-feet of torque. When you're in smart mode, there is. And now here's the thing: was when you get a rental car, for some reason, it seems like they never are checking the automatic transmission fluid. Because how it's like, sometimes you can kind of feel it slipping a little bit because they're not like they haven't flushed it. I feel like that's the last thing they do with rental cars. So I think there's a little bit, and this is like the last 3 rental cars I felt this on. But if you put in smart mode, it just switches between the modes. The switching can be a little. There can be a little bit of delay. Again, I'm not sure if that's because of the fact that it's a rental car, which are everyone beats the hell out of, or if it's a Kia Sorento issue. I actually could get a Kia Sorento in if I could probably call it in and have a proper thing. But if you're renting a car and you need to seat like I don't know, a bunch of people and 2 of them are really tiny, or you have some dogs or whatever, and you got to go somewhere where you need to throw some all seasons all-wheel drive, and Kia Sorento, that's a pretty sweet rental car right there. You're gonna be happy. And I've been fortunate. I've been getting a lot of Kias and Hyundais whenever I rent cars. They're always like, "You want this or do you want this?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll take the Kia or the Hyundai." It always just because you just plug it in. CarPlay just works. Everything just sort of works. You just get in the car and everything just works. They're not like looking for something. They're not trying to like re-engineer how stuff works. It's just okay, fine, and you're just like, okay, this is an easy to figure out car.
Yeah, I like that car. I think it's a good one. I'm not surprised that you liked it because I think the Sorento is a solid little car. It's good value.
Yeah,
solid
good
car,
value.
fun to drive.
Good value. If you're looking for something like that, go try it out.
I feel like Hyundai and Kia are still my favorite overall. If I just had to pick a brand, you want a car that's a good value, Hyundai, Kia. Pick one.
Kia.
Just go with those guys because they hold up well. They got good reliability, and you're going to get more stuff for the price than you will for any other OEM.
You're going to get a lot more just stuff that you would like, you'd have to pay for.
Robbie is drinking a Starbucks as we're recording, and now I'm really jealous. I don't have a Starbucks. Come on, Robbie. Did you bring one for the whole class? You didn't.
I did, but I drank it.
Couldn't send it through Zoom.
Yeah, dang it.
Why does Zoom not work that way?
All right. And the best thing about it, the dogs like it. The dogs appreciate it.
Yeah, the dogs like it. It's a little bit of a jump for Nico because she's small, but she still made it, with the seats down. Typically when we get into the Kona, we just have the seats up, so they just sit in the back seats.
Yeah.
And the same with the Jaguar. They just sit in the back seats. So she doesn't typically
And you do, of course, buckle
high.
them in, right?
They have little thingies.
Yeah.
They have little harnesses and whatnot, so they don't go sliding around. And we have
always do that with your dogs. Don't let your dogs loose, because if anything happens, you don't want your dog flying around in the cabin of the vehicle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I wish my little
It's also
puppy
nice if you get that
liked
little
cars.
cage. That cage is sort of nice too.
To keep them from sticking their head in your face. Mine's too small. He sits in his little carrier and he shakes the whole time. He hates car rides. I'm like, come on, I take you with me places, but he's petrified of them. I don't know why.
Daisy likes car rides, and she's very chill. We buckle her in, and she just kind of hangs out back there.
I don't know. My dog is afraid. He's scared to death. We even tried we went through this whole thing where we tried to take him to places like, let's make sure he's going places he's liking. Like, don't take him to the vet. Let's take him to the park.
Yeah.
Let's take him to happy places. He was just as terrified going to happy places as he was when the destination was the vet. So we couldn't break him of this fear. It's very sad. My poor little sad doggo.
I feel like I should get Subaru to send me every car they have, and I'll just judge them all based on how much the dogs like them. It'll be more of a dog.
See how
judging.
dog friendly they really are. That would be
sounds
awesome.
like an excellent plan.
Yeah. So I'm thinking I'll
I like
reach
this
out to
plan.
Subaru and see
Yeah,
what they say.
just one right after the other. Boom, boom, boom.
I have to
boom,
reach
boom.
out to somebody and sell that. Oh, I'm going to email. I know who to email.
Look at Rob. He's like, wait, I have an idea for a
Hold on,
story.
I'm going to write this down. I do this all the time. I have ideas for stories. I don't write them down.
That's what you got to do. You got to put them down somewhere so you remember.
He's looking for
5
paper.
minutes
Just write it
later.
on the side of your Starbucks
Got
cup.
my-
You've got that handy.
No,
Okay.
I'll throw that
All right.
away.
All right, Nicole, what have you been driving?
Yes. So I went from one electrified Mercedes last week to another one this week. I have the Mercedes-AMG EQS, which is a fancy pants sedan. Okay, this is not cheap. Like, we get expensive cars in the driveway. It doesn't always happen, but like sometimes I don't realize. I'm like, how much is this one? Do you know how much this car is? This is $159,000.
Yep. It's
159 and 3 zeros after it. Okay, guys, let's do, because we haven't done it in a while. Destination.
1800.
1800, you said?
Yeah.
I'm going to go 19.
It's only 1,050.
Yeah,
Really?
I won.
Yeah, I know. I'm double
forget.
checking.
Oh, it's
as I'm
Mercedes.
looking.
Mercedes is a little less squeamish about just raising their MSRP. So, I think what we're seeing, from the domestic brands is, no, we're not going to raise our MSRP. We're just going to raise the destination charge.
Exactly. Destination's going to be
trick.
$12,000. Yeah, so it's only $1,050 for destination, but you're paying $159. Actually, the base on this is $147. So they put a whole bunch of extra stuff on it. And much like the Mercedes I had last week, this one also has a few things that they couldn't, that are supposed to be standard, that aren't standard, but they gave you a
Oh,
credit back
no.
for them. But this time it tells you. So they gave you a credit for, there are no heated rear seats or windshield and washer system, and there is no valet beginner driver mode.
Boo.
Yep, so you got an extra about,
You
So
gotta
is that
keep them
only for
valet-
beginner valets or for beginners and valets?
I think it's
this is a
both.
question I think you need to reach out for Mercedes for clarification.
think
Well,
it's to
I
keep-
would
to
if
keep
they
the
would answer
valet-
my questions, but they don't like to respond to my questions.
Oh,
Maybe
I
this
could
will be
ask
a
'em.
moment.
They answer my questions all the
I
time.
could ask them since I'm driving their car. I guess hopefully they answer me, right?
Is it beginner / valet?
It's
or-
actually technically valet /beginner.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
okay.
So
There
it's
you go.
two
So,
people. All right.
so in that case, it's probably valets and beginners.
To keep them from doing burnouts in your Mercedes-Benz EQS.
Can
Your
you
$150,000 car.
Can you imagine for a second though, like, you have like Teen Driver on, who is that? That's GM, right? They do the Teen
Yeah,
Driver
yeah.
thing.
OnStar,
They all have
yeah.
their things. But imagine you're at a point in your life where you have a $159,000 Mercedes and you toss the keys to your 16-year-old.
Their car broke down. They still have to go to work at wherever they work. Maybe they work at a restaurant.
country
I worked at
club.
the country club, or a restaurant, or a farm, or I'm just thinking of things I worked at. Some sort of factory, some sort of underground coal mine.
That's exactly where the children of people who drive a car this expensive would work.
Your kids got to have a job. You got to teach them some responsibility. Like, I'm rich doesn't mean you're rich.
Yeah, exactly. You are poor.
If
so you should
anything-
leave this house.
If anything, you're making things worse for me financially.
I'll be
So-
richer when you're out of here.
So get your little coal miner hat on, your little coal miner gloves.
hat.
You can take the EQS, but you need a shower before you get in.
I was going to
Change your
say them.
clothes.
I thought, oh my gosh, if you're a coal miner and you got in the EQS, you would destroy the interior in 30 seconds. But
soon as you
since
get-
this is, probably not going to happen. So what you have is 649 horsepower, 700 pound-feet of torque. It moves. It moves really fast. It moves really aggressively. You press the, I still want to call it gas pedal, and it shoots off into traffic like nobody's business. It is super fun to drive. And there's just something so cool about EVs, because I know everyone misses the rumbly, roaring sounds of all their powerful engines. But when you just like stealth whoosh into traffic and you make no sound, it's pretty nifty in its own right. So that's kind of nice. You have a range of 277 miles according to ye olde EPA, and I was running at about that. I think I was getting like my range, because I kept looking to see, because again, it's been kind of cold weather, but it was a little bit warmer. It was like in the 40s a couple of times this week. When I was getting out to the car, it was like 275, 276. So it was right, like coming up, like it felt like I was in the range they were saying I was going to get. So this makes me happy. I didn't have to charge it every day, which was kind of nice because it just, again, it's that driving around town. Unless you're really going on a long drive, how often do you need that much range? I keep saying it, but I feel like people still ask me this on an EV all the time. Oh, but what if you run out? I don't. If I'm not going on a road trip, I'm driving around town. I know where I am. It's not like I drive 200 miles in the course of a day. That's just not happening.
80% of Americans drive less than 40 miles a day.
Exactly. So, So, I mean, that range, you can get through most of what you need to for the day. This is 110% in every way when you sit down in it, a luxury car. The screens across it, it's not just a dashboard screen. It's like a dashboard that is a screen. It's just screen as far to the left and as far to the right as you can possibly look. There's nothing but screen in this thing. So you have your instrument cluster, you have your infotainment screen, and there's a third screen that's like over in front of the passenger. Which when I first got in the car, it had a compass on it, which is super distracting because the compass spins, right, as you're driving. I'm like, what is happening on that last screen?
On the passenger screen?
Yeah, on the passenger screen.
It didn't turn off the screen when you looked at it?
I could totally say it.
Ooh, that's not good.
Yes. So
wait,
yeah.
So you could? Was it doing things?
It had the compass. It had a look at Robbie's face.
It wouldn't even turn on unless someone's in the passenger seat for me. Oh, you got a broken car.
I don't know. Maybe I got a broken one. There is nobody sitting there.
Maybe there was a missing sensor that's supposed to detect that.
Missing sensor. So I have this passenger screen with like a compass on it, and the compass is like north, south, the east. I'm like, so it was kind of bizarre to see that. So I can see why you don't normally see that. One of the things, though, so the ambient lighting, I just have to call this out because this was the most bat poop crazy thing I've ever seen in a car. So you have ambient lighting, and it's normally like, think like it's a line that runs along the dashboard and maybe onto the door panels, and maybe something on the center console lights up. You have a couple little things, and you can change the color to red or blue or yellow, whatever your heart likes. And then you can sometimes make it goes, it fades slowly from dark red to light red or dark blue to light blue. These sort of subtle things that it's sort of like this. It's nice. It's ambient. It's not distracting. It's just a little color in the background, right? You guys have all seen this?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mercedes. You can set this, and I wasn't playing with this. My husband was, and I made him stop. You can set it to look like you're on the party bus inside of this thing as you're driving along.
I turned the brightness all the way up. I set it so it's animated. It's a party. And then like 2 minutes later, I just sort of forget about it and just keep driving.
No, I did not forget about it. And it could have been because he was like, let's make it red. Let's make it blue. And it was like, you have got to stop changing all the colors in this car. But it literally was like playing and blinking and pulsing and different colors. And all of that to myself, I'm like, I can't like look at my phone at a stoplight, right? Because then I'm distracted driving. But I can have the party bus for ambient lighting, and that's totally legal. Something feels very weird here. It was
Party
strange.
bus.
It was strange. But driving it is a joy. I mean, it's really comfortable. It has that very high-tech feel. The Mercedes voice activation, the M-Bucks, which I still think that's a weird name. It makes me think of Starbucks.
It's MBUX.
Mercedes-Benz user experience.
I know, but
we say
like
it's MBUX, but we all say M-Bucks.
It's M-Bucks. That's what we all say, M-Bucks.
Yeah.
But the system is really good. Like when you say, hey, Mercedes, it responds pretty quickly and did a pretty good job of hearing what I was saying. And it also knew when my husband was speaking to it from the passenger seat, and the little blue sort of pixelated thingy on the dashboard that was like, hello, I'm the little AI in your car, goes over to his side of things.
Hello.
And responds over on the other side, and it blinks in the middle when it's talking to me. So that was kind of neat. So overall, I liked it. I mean, I thought it was really, it's a luxury car that feels like the interior is beautiful, all the trims, all the finishes. There is nothing lacking. It's comfortable. It's roomy. I mean, hubby is 6'3". He was perfectly comfortable in the front seat, even sat in the back seat behind where he had his seat adjusted, still totally fine. So, Robbie, you fit in this car. Good to know. You wouldn't be squished. Even in this, right? Even in the EQS?
Yeah, I think the back seat still leaves a little bit more headroom. To be honest, it's a little tight just because of the way the design is. I think the EQS SUV, which is a weird name to just throw SUV on the end of EQS, because it's bigger, it has more room. But yeah, I think to me the only thing that's the biggest issue with that car is that the rear
headroom.
seat is headroom, because it's like right here it's okay, but if you moved your head a little bit to the left or the right, like
okay,
that
then
column
you
right
won't
there.
get.
Yeah.
And it is kind of slopey. Like, it's nice that this is a sedan, but it's a hatchback. The way the sedan, I mean, it's
Yeah,
it
the
is-
hatchback's awesome.
They just call it a sedan, but it's a hatchback sedan. So when you open that trunk, you have a huge amount of space back there. I mean, it's a ton of space, which is sort of unexpected, especially when you just look at it and you think, oh, it's got a traditional trunk. You're expecting there not to be a very big one, but because it's that hatch, you can put quite a bit in the back of this thing. So I liked this very much. I thought the multimedia system was great. I thought the performance and the handling are fun. It looks like a spaceship when you turn that sucker on. I mean, every light that comes on at night, the steering wheel, it's red, it's blue. Like, they're all about the lights. I mean, some lighting designer, they like gave them like full, like, just go for it, Bob, do whatever you want. And he did. And the interior of this thing lights up like a Christmas tree when you turn it on. So, so I really like this. I thought it was a lot of fun. I don't know that I would spend $160,000 on a car in the first place, but it was, you get some luxury cars in this price range and or creeping up to this, and you sit down and you're like, okay, what do you get for 160 grand or 125 or 130 or 40 or whatever? And sometimes you're like, okay, so this has a fancy name and it has a couple of fancy features, but nothing makes it really feel as special as that price tag says it should be. This one, when you drive this, when you sit in it, when you look at it, the features, the style, you think, okay, yeah, you know what? This actually feels like it should be a six-figure car that has all this luxury and all this technology. So weirdly, I'm going to say this was fairly priced, even though it's, well out of most people's budgets to buy something this expensive.
Fairly priced for what it is.
Yes, that's like you can get, your Kia Sorento is a great deal and it's not $160,000, but if you're looking at this kind of price range, this isn't one of those cars where you look at it and think, I have no idea why anybody would pay this much money for this. It doesn't live up to it. Nope. It lives up to exactly what that price tag says. You are not disappointed. You think, okay, yep, this is a car that should be worth, it should come at a premium. In every way, it feels like a premium vehicle.
Excellent. All right. Well, before heading off to Las Vegas for 4.5 days of CES, I was driving around in the Jeep Wagoneer L, Series 3 Obsidian, which is it is a big honking SUV. And this is
Where do you
longer,
park it? Nobody knows.
It's 12 inches longer than a standard Wagoneer, which is already very, very long. I think it's about 4 or 5 inches longer than a Suburban or long wheelbase Escalade. And when my wife and I climbed in to go to lunch one day in Detroit, she said, "Why are we in this thing? This thing is so huge." The one
And
I
you
had,
said, "What, honey? I can't hear you. You're too far away in the car."
Yeah. And one of my complaints previously from the driving the standard wheelbase Wagoneers was the width, because this thing is about 4 inches wider than a Ford Expedition or Lincoln Navigator, and about 2.5 inches wider than the GM full-size SUV. So this is a broad machine. And for 2023, with the launch of the L version, the longer version of it, you get an extra 12 inches of overall length. I think about 6 inches of that goes into the wheelbase. The seats have not moved, so you get the same amount of passenger volume, but that 12 inches all goes to the cargo volume at the back, which, if you're going to carry 6 or 7 or 8 people, is actually very useful on a long trip. So there's plenty of cargo space back there. And even though the seats have not moved, they are still very voluminous. So the one that I had the second row captain's chairs. So you get technically 7 seating positions. There's 7 seat belts. I don't know that unless they're very slim or they're children, I don't know that you'd necessarily want to put 3 in the back seat, in the third row seat. But you theoretically could.
If you have children, that's exactly where they should be, as far away from you as possible.
Exactly, yes. But regardless if you have adults back there, they will have adequate legroom, adequate headroom. So that's not a problem at all. This is a big SUV, and in addition to the extra length for 23 with the L model, they have also introduced the 3-liter twin-turbo Hurricane inline six in two forms. There's the standard version, which is about 420 horsepower that you get in the non-Grand Wagoneers, just the standard Wagoneers. And then the Grand Wagoneers get the Hurricane 510, which, can you guess how many horsepower that one has?
1 billion. No. 640.
1,000,000 horsepower. Maybe 510?
510 horsepower.
No, I'm shocked.
And 500 foot-pounds of torque, which is quite a bit more than you get from any of the twin-turbo V6 EcoBoost engines in any of the Fords. I think they max out, at least in trucks and SUVs, at about 450 horsepower. But given the size of this thing, this is basically like an aircraft carrier on wheels. That 510 horsepower can be useful. It gives you lots of towing capability. That long wheelbase means that it also gives you a nice, comfortable ride, which is consistent with the rest of Stellantis's big body-on-frame vehicles. They all do exceptionally well on ride quality. Handling, such as it is for a 3-ton vehicle, is actually pretty decent. Plenty of acceleration from this thing. That's not a problem at all. One of the arguments for designing this new engine to replace the Hemi V8s is for extra fuel economy. And technically they bumped it up by about 1 to 2 miles per gallon, depending on which variant you got, compared to the previous Hemi V8s. But this still isn't particularly fuel efficient.
Well,
I'm
you're
shocked.
driving around in a like a battle cruiser.
Pretty much, yeah. So in a mix of highway, urban, suburban driving, I averaged just over 16 miles per gallon.
Ooh.
Wow.
It's EPA rated at let's see, for the Grand Wagoneer L, it's EPA rated at 14 city, 16 combined, 19 highway. And so I hit the EPA label number, but that's still not terribly impressive.
No.
Then again,
But you're hauling you're essentially driving a bus. So
pretty much,
Basically, it's a bus. Yeah.
yeah. So if you can afford a Grand Wagoneer L, particularly a Series 3 Obsidian like I had, then you're probably not too concerned about the price of fuel.
You don't think?
No, probably not. I did not get a Monroney with this one, but the base price on the Series 3 Obsidian, actually, strangely enough, they don't even have the pricing for the Ls on the Jeep website yet, on the build and price configurator. For the standard length Series 3 Obsidian Grand Wagoneer, it starts at $109,635. And I believe that all in, which is basically what this one is, it came with the $645 Midnight Sky exterior paint, which is a really, really, really dark blue that under most conditions basically looks almost black.
I had a Subaru like that. It was that midnight blue, and I thought it was just a black Subaru for like a month. And then one day it was like, and then one day out in the sun, I'm like, oh, it's blue.
Yeah.
Like, wait, the color is different.
And this one was also equipped with the second row seating group, which is the captain's chairs, this one didn't have the second row seating group because it had the captain's chairs. The second row seating group gives you three seating positions, and this thing is wide enough that you can fit 3 adults in that second row. But I did have the rear seat entertainment group, which is about $2,200. So all in, it's about $120,000 for this thing. You can also still get it. You can order it with the. Or actually, no, you can't order this. Sorry, I'm looking at the standard one. The standard one for now you can still order with the 6.4 liter V8. Although I'm not sure why you would want to. This one is. It's definitely better with the Hurricane V8. The Hurricane V8 is a lovely engine. Very smooth. It's got a nice sound to it. It's more powerful than the V8s. It's a great vehicle. Any guesses on the shipping, on the delivery charge?
Oh, it's Stellantis, $1,400.
Nicole?
Crud. I was going to say $14.95, so I'm still just going to say that because that's what I was going to say.
Nicole wins because it's
Yay.
actually
Jesus.
$19.95.
Oh my gosh.
Jesus.
Wow.
Okay,
Yeah.
I dropped my pen.
$19.95. He's so distracted he's dropping things.
You made me drop my pen.
Wow. That's a lot.
Yeah. Stellantis was the first one to really start bumping up the delivery charges on the trucks and SUVs.
You probably have to buy
like
a special
$2,000.
boat just to ship these things. Extra wide trains.
Yeah, probably extra wide trains because these are built in Detroit, so they don't have to ship them overseas, thankfully. What else was in this?
Can
one?
you imagine, like, what road would this fit on overseas? Is there a road in Europe that this would fit?
Probably not. I mean, it barely fits on a lot of American roads. I remember when I did the first drive on the Wagoneer, which they did in New York City for some reason.
I was on that too. I get that they were trying to show us you leave the big city and you go to this country, this place, you for the weekend, like you weekend in the Hamptons or whatever. But I'm like, oh Lord, couldn't we have just started there to begin with? Because it was really hard to drive in the city.
Yeah, well, apparently a quarter of all Jeep sales are in the New York metropolitan area, which is crazy to me. Why so many people in New York would want to drive a Jeep?
Or not drive a Jeep, but drive a Jeep that big. I can see why you drive a Jeep. Because the weather
because the
and
roads
stuff,
are pretty bad.
Right? So I get the Jeep part. I'm like, but Grand Wagoneer?
Yeah.
Okay.
So among the features on here, you get the Macintosh MX1375 entertainment system, which has 1,375 watts and like 20 some odd speakers. It's also got the heated and cooled seats in both the first and second rows, 14-inch center display in the front, two 10-inch displays in the second row, 11 USB ports around the vehicle. So you have USBs for everybody, and some people get a couple of spares as well. There's also HDMI ports for the rear seat entertainment. All the goodies are in this thing. So it's about $120,000 all in. As I said, not terribly fuel efficient, but if you're driving a battle cruiser, you probably don't really care. Especially a luxury battle cruiser like this.
Battle cruiser.
If I was in the market for a full size 3-row luxury SUV, that was really 3-row and that could carry all the stuff that those people would need for a road trip, it would be a close choice between this and the Escalade, the long wheelbase Escalade.
Escalade. How about the Navigator?
I like the Navigator a lot, but I think the Escalade and the Wagoneer are a little bit better. They've got the air suspension. It gives them a little better ride quality.
Oh, yeah.
Certainly, if you anticipate doing anything off-road, the Jeep 4-wheel drive system, the Quadra-Track 2 4-wheel drive system, is going to take you places that the other two certainly aren't going to go. Mm-hmm. So, this is probably the optimal choice if you want something this huge. I personally don't anticipate ever needing to own something this huge. But if that's what you want, then this is a great solution. It's powerful, it's comfortable, it's fairly handsome, and especially in the Obsidian with the black grille and the black wheels, and it's a good 3-row luxury full size SUV.
I like it. I think it's great. I don't know why I would need a car that big. I try to think even when the kids were little and I had the maximum number of children and other moms and assorted stuff, I'm like, I still never needed a car that big, but it is cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice. It's nice to, if you need it, then it's nice to know that there's something like this out there. There's also the option, if you need the size, but you don't necessarily want to spend that much and you don't necessarily need quite as much luxury, the regular Wagoneer L, the non-Grand Wagoneer, is also available in the L with the 420 horsepower version of that 6-cylinder, and it's also really, really good. And it's a few tens of thousands of dollars more affordable.
Yeah, saves you a few bucks.
All righty. Did you know you can support Wheel Bearings directly? Head to patreon.com/wheelbearingsmedia and you can become a patron today. Your contributions will help fund the platforms and tools we use to bring the podcast to you. And exclusives and improvements are already on the way thanks to your generosity. So if you want to be part of an automotive podcast like no other, head to patreon.com/wheelbearingsmedia. Speaking of Stellantis, let's stick with Stellantis as we dive into some of the news this week, which basically all came out of CES. So first up, the Ram Revolution electric vehicle concept. This is a concept that is, from what I'm told, a very close representation of the Ram 1500 EV that is coming out next year. And in fact, we will be seeing that vehicle, the production version of it, in the next few months. We don't have to wait until 2024. It'll actually be shown fairly soon. And
Yay.
I had a conversation last week with Mike Koval, who is the head of the Ram brand, and we talked about some of that stuff. And after this segment, I will insert that in there. But what do the two of you think of the Ram Revolution concept?
I think it looks really cool. I actually really like it. I think because
cool.
It's because all these everything that's an EV can't look like everything that's not. Like we've established, right? Is that the going design thing? It must look like it came slightly from the set of a Star Trek movie. It has to be a little bit like out there, and this definitely has that. I like the styling on this is just unique and different and cool. I hope it looks this much like this when they build it.
This is what the Cybertruck should have looked like. You really blew it over there.
So
Like,
Just make it's. I mean, if you look at it, it's like it's got those like very like those sharp edges that they showed off and everyone got excited, and then that truck still isn't available. Meanwhile, this is Ram, who far later than say Ford or Rivian. This will probably be on the road before the Cybertruck. Literally everything's going to be on the road before the Cybertruck, to be honest.
we'll have moved on from EVs by the time the Cybertruck is on the road.
Hydrogen will finally be working correctly.
So from a design perspective of the electric trucks that we've seen so far, the Lightning, the Rivian R1T, the Silverado, the Sierra, the Cybertruck, and this Ram, where would you rank those?
I still like the Rivian the best.
I like the Rivian. I think I like the funky look of the Rivian. Are we just talking style of it? Like how it looks?
Just aesthetics.
I like the Rivian because this is right with the Rivian with me though, because the Rivian looks very different. It's very definitely a truck, but it's that truck of the future. The F-150 Lightning's a little bit more tame. You don't know that it's the Lightning, really.
Yeah,
it's an F-150. Like, you don't really know that it's something different unless you start looking at badging, which is also, I guess, has a certain appeal. I don't know. This one might do a little more. It's like a skosh, just a skosh. That's real fine. Like, that very distinct measurement of one skosh above the Rivian for me. That fantastic. That one shot they have from the top with the roof with that huge, just gigantic glass roof. Imagine what that's going to be like when you're inside that truck. The styling on this looks really, really slick.
The whole greenhouse thing, it looks too small. It looks like it's really like it's like this squat little area on top of this really long skateboard. It's like this
I think that's one of the things that'll change for the production truck. I suspect the design will be
if you got into this truck. you wouldn't be able to see like the 3 cars sitting in front of you right now.
Well, you wouldn't be able to see the 3 cars sitting in front of you, but I'd be able to see this.
No, you'd be sitting lower because the way that it's so squat and it's so long.
No, look, I'm sure I just moved the little seats up.
Like you're not going to be able to see anything. Like we can't see anything out of like trucks right now. You can't like that's why we're in the drive-through. Like all the big trucks are like a car length behind the car in front of them because they can't see anything.
They can't tell where it is.
And this truck, you'd be like, whoa. It just Well, but besides, it just looks a little. I wish they just. I know it looks like a chop, like it's it's an '80s hot rod, but I don't know. It just
and I think that
the proportions are slightly off.
I think that's one of the things that will change on the production truck. I think that will be a little bit taller.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The other thing is on some of these electric trucks, especially the GMs and this one, unlike the Ford, which keeps the standard cab proportions of an F-150 because it's the same structure. This one, they have moved the bulkhead forward. They've shortened the front end, so you are going to be sitting a little bit closer to the front end. So you might be able to see an extra 6 inches in front of you compared to a traditional gas truck.
Yeah,
and you're still up pretty. That front end is still pretty tall. But one of the things that changes with it. Well, first of all, unlike the GM trucks, this does have a separate cab and bed. It's not a unibody like the Silverado and Sierra EVs. So it does have a separate bed. Although it's the way it's designed, it kind of wraps around the sides of the cab. And it kind of looks like what you get on the Honda Ridgeline, which is actually all one piece, but they put that seam in there to make it look like it's 2 separate pieces. So it's kind of weird. But according to the folks at Ram, this is a separate bed, but it does have a midgate like the GM trucks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the inside, the seats are mounted on these tracks. They call it the Ram track system. So the seats and the center console are mounted on these tracks, so you can move the seats around back and forth independently. And then there's actually a third row of jump seats mounted on the midgate. So you could, with this one, because it doesn't have a second row bench, it's got the way the concept is configured. It's got 2 separate seats in the second row, and there's 2 more jump seats behind that, so you can have seating for 6 in there. Or you can fold down that midgate, and then the center console is removable. And there's a pass-through from the cab into the frunk. And then you have the midgate. So they say that with the center console out and the pass-through open and the midgate down, with the tailgate closed, you can put in objects up to 18 feet long.
Wow.
Because it basically stretches from right behind the front fascia to all the way back to the tailgate.
So you can take like big chunks of wood.
Yeah, giant pieces of wood you can carry around.
Yeah, if you need some 18 foot long beams, you're good to go on this one.
I put a 10-foot long beam once in the BRZ. I made it work.
Jeez.
And about 6 feet of that was hanging out the back?
No, you had to go all the way to the corner, and then you had to put the rear seats down, and then the front seat, like you had to lean it all the way back, and then out over the passenger window. So I had to wrap up the mirror so it wouldn't get all scratched up, and it worked.
All right.
Well, it worked. That was the important thing.
It worked.
It worked.
I didn't drive on the freeway. Yeah, I didn't drive on the freeway, but it worked.
So what else we got on this one? There's a split. They call it a multifunction tailgate. It's not quite like GM's 6-way tailgate. It's just split in the middle, so you can put it down like a standard tailgate, or it splits in the middle and you fold them out sideways. They're hinged out sideways, and when you do that, the floor of the bed can actually extend back, and then you've got there's fold-in extend.
Gates.
There's basically a couple of fence pieces, so you can have that extra long bed, so you can have like 8 feet in the bed.
See, that's cool. I like that.
Yeah,
and it has a little brake light right there.
Yep.
That's like underneath it. So when you do that, you still have brake lights. So that's pretty dope. because sometimes you need more than 5 feet.
And this is all based on the Stella frame architecture, which is Stellantis' architecture for big trucks and SUVs. They're not giving it any specs on it, except that the concept, at least, is dual motor. And they had a chassis out on the show floor at CES. And it's an 800-volt architecture, so it'll charge at 350 kilowatts.
Yeah.
And they copy GM's claim of being able to add 100 miles of charge in 10 minutes. So presumably it's going to have a similar size battery, somewhere around 200 kilowatt hours, for the longest range versions of this. They have not said anything at all about the range extended version of this, as to exactly how that's going to be configured. The interior, there's two 14-inch displays in the center. There's the top one, which can actually move up and down, and then the bottom one, which can be put in 3 different positions. So you can basically kind of slide it up like the display in the Lucid Air, or you can remove it entirely and use it as a tablet. There's a work surface for to put a laptop or whatever on there that you can fold out. There is no instrument cluster. There's just the heads-up display.
Oh, okay.
And
he's like,
so
wait.
you do get a HUD, which is good. So you get all the information in front of you. So no standard instrument cluster. No idea if that's going to be the way they do it on the production version. The steering wheel is kind of squared off, kind of like a Corvette steering wheel, and it's collapsible. So at some point they're planning to have a level 3 partial automation system. So you can go eyes off and hands off on the highway, and that steering wheel will fold over and pull away from you. So you have extra space there. And the RAM boxes. They've got a new version of the RAM box. So you guys are familiar with the RAM box, right?
Yeah, just the little things that run along the bed to put all your stuff in.
Yeah, so you put all your assorted tools and stuff, in these boxes along the edges of the sides of the bed. The RAM boxes on this thing are even bigger. Basically the entire side of the bed flips up, and you have this giant box there.
Sweet.
Wow.
Some pretty cool stuff.
I think once they have like the production version, I'm gonna like it more.
Yeah.
I think once
so.
the production design, I think I'm gonna like more with all the stuff. I mean, I know some of the stuff is they're probably still gonna put an instrument cluster, but I think everything else I'm gonna like a lot more.
Yeah. And then what I thought was one of the coolest features of this thing is the RAM charger system. So this is not reviving the old Ram Charger SUV of the 1970s, but instead, this thing is equipped with wireless charging, wireless inductive charging, and most wireless charging systems for EVs, you have a transmitter pad that is bolted to the floor of your garage, and then you have to drive in and maneuver the car over the charging pad. So that the receiver pad on the vehicle is directly over top of that, and then it'll start charging. The Ram charger system has something that is basically like a tethered Roomba. It's robotic.
Just buzz underneath your car.
When you pull into your garage, assuming you have a garage large enough to fit this thing.
How big is it? Did you see it?
It's about the same. It's roughly the same dimensions as a current Ram 1500 crew cab.
Okay. No, the little thingy, the little Roomba
the
thing.
charger. Yeah, it's
I'm like, wow, that's pretty big.
Roomba. It's probably about 20.
Like one of those automatic.
Yeah.
Like the automatic lawn mowers.
Yes.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
about that size.
Okay.
So it's got a cord coming out of the back that and as it moves around, as it moves away from its source, the cord comes out and then it automatically retracts. So you don't have this cord sticking around all over the place. And basically, when you pull in, it pulls in and finds the optimum spot right underneath the charging pad on the bottom of the truck.
Ooh, so you don't have to worry about lighting it up. That's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, it is. And then like for a fleet, they could have if they got 20 trucks, they could have 8 or 10 of these things, and it can come out and move to the next truck as soon as it's done charging, or in your home. If you got a couple of vehicles in your home, you could have one of these that automatically goes and charges whichever vehicle needs charging. It's a pretty cool solution.
If it moves, okay. So first of all, to me this is like I used to cover the Internet of Things, like lights and all that stuff. And after a few years, I was like, you know what? Just flicking a light on and off, that's not that hard.
Yeah.
so I stopped covering the Internet of Things because it was just it's most of it's dumb. I feel like unless if it does a thing where if I have two Rams and it'll charge one and they're like, okay, this one's done, and then move and then go and charge the other. If
right,
it does
that's what I'm
that,
saying.
Cool. If it doesn't, who cares?
Yeah,
because me plugging my EV in every day, not that big of a deal.
It's not it's not the hardest part of your whole day.
Again, it's like the flicking the light switch on and off. Like I telling my phone to turn on the light that I could get up and just turn on.
But I think for a fleet, where they've got a whole bunch of vehicles.
It would be cool if it could just draw, like, it's like, zzz, okay, you pulled in, like, there's 20 cars or 20 trucks.
Like one could do, like,
That's
3
yours,
trucks
and
at a
it just
time,
zaps.
yeah.
Yeah, then it just buzzes down to the next one and buzzes down to the next one and buzzes down to the next one, and no one has to be there, and it just does its thing.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of nifty.
That's cool for fleets. If they had to get one for each truck, then you're like, no, they're just going to make the guys plug it in. Hey, you, plug that in.
So that's the Ram Revolution pickup, and we'll be seeing a lot more of that in the coming months. And I will drop in my interview with Mike Koval right here.
All right, Mike, thanks for joining me today. Got some big news coming up tomorrow with the reveal of the Ram Revolution pickup truck. And obviously, Ram is not the first to market with an electric pickup truck, which is coming next year. And this obviously is not the production truck. It's a preview, I guess, of the direction. But from your perspective for Ram, what are some of the goals that you're trying to achieve as you get ready to introduce an electric pickup truck into the market?
Well, thanks again for having me. And I would say that a couple of things. Here at CES, this is really the kickoff. We are officially in the race, if you will. And it's a shame that we don't do more concept trucks just in general. It doesn't seem like we do them much anymore. But, when Ralph and I, we knew how big this evolution was to our brand, to the Ram truck brand, but also to Stellantis more broadly. So Ralph and I decided to develop this concept, and we sent our designers and engineers, we affectionately refer to them as rebels, but basically said, look, guys, go back into the dome and dream big. Don't let any constraints come in your way. And really what we're revealing at CES is just that. So the Ram 1500 Revolution battery electric concept is a glimpse into the future of Ram trucks. It's a visionary roadmap of where we're taking the brand. And I would tell you, I think our customers and our fans, everything that they see from Ram from this day forward will somewhere be a descendant of the Ram 1500 Revolution concept vehicle and what we're showing here at CES. And I'll just start with the design. Ultra modern, I would say even heroic, a stunning modular interior. I think very, very humbly, one of the things the Ram has become known for are their interiors. They're comfortable and quiet, the attention to detail. Imagine that electrified. We're going to bring all of that DNA into that particular product. But what I think is most important, so this concept truck is loaded with tech, advanced mobility features, and of course, it will be ultimately leading into the start of the actual production vehicle, which is not that far away, Sam. You flip the calendar to 2023, our SOP for the actual Ram 1500 battery electric vehicle is next year. And so that window has shortened. We're in the game, and believe me, we're in the game to win. But I think what's really important is our approach. Ram is going to do things a little bit differently. We're not going to follow the other guys. We're going to bring a fuller portfolio of electrified solutions to the market. Because for me, and when we've been talking to our engineers and designers, for us, electrification is not a one-size-fits-all thing. And one thing that our customers have told us time and time and time again, they said, guys, please do not say, we're open-minded. We're more open-minded than we ever have been to considering electrification in our pickup trucks, but do not compromise on the attributes we care about most, which historically, of course, towing, and payload. But as we go into the future, it's more about range and charge time. So having full knowledge of what our competitors have announced, have done, actually some way provides an advantage for our brand. And so what we did to kind of frame this up, Sam, we created a what we're calling a consumer or a customer performance index, which is basically taking everything we know today that's been publicly revealed and making sure that our performance benchmarks not only meet but exceed the competitors in real world ways. And that's very, very important. And so we think that when we bring our vehicle to market from 2024, it will be at the intersection of when the demand is there and the market and the infrastructure are more mature. So our suite of solutions, we're going to do things a little bit differently. We are going to pay more attention to what we think the real world needs are for the electrified buyers. And if we think it's actually going to be at a really, really good time when we think about that sort of adoption curve as we move into this electrified future.
So, as an example of that, I think one of the big things that's been a challenge for the F-150 Lightning, it can certainly tow a lot. It can tow 10,000 pounds easily, as I think any electric truck can, but it just can't do it for very long. Is that one of those things that you're talking about that you see as something that you need to address as part of your portfolio?
It's 1,000% yes. 1,000% yes. And that's exactly. And we decided that one other thing that I would say Ram did a little bit differently maybe than the other guys. We fanned out across America last year, went to something like 20 or 25 cities on this Ram Real Talk tour. And really what it was a fireside chat at various events with prospective owners, current customers, but actually our engineers and designers were in attendance at many of these. So we got to hear firsthand everything from benign to a bird. Everything it was perfect. I want to hear the good, the bad. You don't want an electrified truck? Great. Tell me why. So we've kind of pulled all of this together. And the takeaway, the key takeaway is that, and it came back to this every single time, we're more open-minded, but don't sacrifice on those core attributes. And range is a big part of that, to your point. So knowing that, we have a different suite of solutions, I think, than the other guys. And that's really going to help differentiate Ram when we come to market from 2024. I think it's going to give us a big competitive advantage.
So on the concept that you're showing this week, there's some really interesting design features. Starting first off with the overall look of it, it's certainly it's a shift from where you are today with Ram and a continuing transition from where the Ram design language has been going since the T300 debuted in the mid 1990s. Is this the direction that for the Ram brand that we're going to see going forward with the tuning fork lighting signature and just the overall look and feel of the truck?
Yeah, I think when we and by the way, we have plans to reveal the actual production Ram 1500 battery electric vehicle very, very soon, as in the next couple of months. So today's at CES, this is the kickoff. This is the concept. Everything from this moment will be a direct descendant in some ways, and I would say starting with the exterior appearance, Sam. And I think when you see, and I for understandable competitive reasons, I don't want to get too much into it because we're not that far away. So we'll be sharing more as we get a little bit closer. But you're going to see influence from there. You're absolutely going to see influence from the concept to the production battery electric vehicle. But we're not eliminating our current in market lineup either. So this is in parallel, right? So we do think the electrified styling has to be a little bit different, of course, has to stand out, be a little bit different from our current range. And I think you'll see some of that when we reveal it. But that's not far away. So that's the idea.
So you mentioned earlier, the interior, I think you mentioned the Ram track system, which stretches from the bed into the cab and even into the front. Can you talk a little bit more about that, and how that works, and is that something that we can expect to see in the production truck, a system like that?
Yeah, let me just talk a little bit about the spirit. So we're calling it our one space environment. It's really about modularity. So the seats themselves will be on exactly what you said, the Ram track. They'll be able to swivel. They'll be able to pivot. They're removable. And actually, based upon the Stella frame architecture and where the EDMs are placed in the front and the rear, it actually allowed us to add 4 more inches to the cabin itself, which then gave our designers the opportunity to have a little bit of fun. And you may have seen, we're actually going to add jump seats in. So call it a third row into the vehicle. And the fun thing about the jump seats, they're actually removable. So you can put those on the track in the bed of the vehicle. For example, if you're tailgating, they're completely removable altogether. So if your son is playing a high school football game, you can use them as seats on the bleachers there. One other thing that I think that comes to mind right away is this foldable and collapsible steering wheel as well. So when you're in an L3 autonomous mode, the steering wheel will actually collapse and tuck away into the dash as well. And what it all ladders up to is modularity, creating one environment that's comfortable, that's convenient, and that helps our customers, I would say, optimize their workspace, whether that is truly for work or for play. The exterior styling, it's sleek. I would say it's even heroic. I think it's very, very elegant. And I think you'll see a lot of that, certainly some of it in the actual production battery electric vehicle. In terms of the Ram tracks, again, just being a concept, this is a vision to the future. Some of these options may be in the production, some may come later. So I'll reserve revealing exactly what's in the actual production BEV for now, only to say that we're starting to see the concept influence what the actual production BEV will look like.
I think one of the most distinct features of this truck compared to anything we've seen before, you've got the mid-gate, which has been done before, but with the Ram tracks, at least on the concept, you have the ability to remove that center console from between the front seats, and then you have a pass-through into the front. Where did that idea come from?
Yeah, I mean, when you move the transmission, when you move the tunnel and the engine, and obviously with the frunk being available, the cubic foot basis of the trunk, the footprint, if you will, is massive. It's a cavernous frunk, and you can actually put an 18-foot piece of lumber, for example, in the vehicle enclosed. So from the very front of the frunk all the way through the bed of the pickup with the tailgate closed, 18 feet. So our customers, of course, will now be able to carry more cargo more safely and more conveniently. But it was these creative solutions that when you start from basic, the things you can do are quite remarkable. And I think these are tips to the cap. Each one of these are tips of the cap to the innovation that I think that you'll see from Ram, that you'll certainly see in this concept vehicle. And I would tell you, I would be remiss. One of the features that I'm most excited about, a couple. One is the Ram Charger, the inductive robot we can talk about in a minute, but also this shadow mode. So this vehicle will have the ability, you'll be able to communicate with your vehicle from outside of the vehicle itself. So you'll be able to voice commands, could be to roll your window down, unlock the door, turn the music up, or what have you. But think about if you're, let's say, for example, you're a farmer, you're out throwing hay, or you're even an architect on a construction site somewhere, you can actually request that the vehicle follow you, just say Ram follow. And the vehicle, using a blend of sensors and cameras, will actually follow you at slow and safe speeds. So you don't have to continue to get in and out of the vehicle. It'll be right there. I say by your side, it'll be behind you. But just another, I would say, innovative feature that I think you'll see from Ram. No, the other thing is the Ram Charger. So much of this is about the customer experience. We want this to be frictionless. If I almost ask myself, how is Ram going to change my life? How can I make your life easier, more frictionless? Certainly one of the elements in there is charging, the inconvenience of charging, the lack of understanding. There's nothing to be scared of. One of the things that Ram is going to do to make it just a little bit easier is we are going to offer the Ram Charger, which will automatically detect who you are. And when you pull into the garage, say, for example, it will automatically place itself appropriately underneath the vehicle, and it will actually maximize efficiency with your charge time as well. So, off-peak hours, for example, which I think will help with the total cost of ownership. So a couple really innovative features and developments I think that you'll see more of from Ram going forward.
Yeah, the Ram Charger in particular, I think is a really interesting idea because obviously, with inductive charging, you really need to position. Anybody that's tried to put their phone down on a charging pad knows that you have to mess around with it. So that the charging transmitter, the floor part, which is normally on most of these systems, is fixed in place. This is going to be kind of like a Roomba that when you drive into your garage, it's going to sense where the receiver is on your truck and then just automatically position itself in just the right spot.
That's a very practical way to describe it. Think of it that way. It's like a Roomba. In fact, I think dimensionally, it's not far off, to be honest, from a Roomba. But that's the idea. And you have to do nothing. It's you pull into your garage, into your normal place, and it basically takes care of everything else for you automatically, seamlessly, and frictionlessly.
Is that something we can expect to see in production in the next couple of years?
I think it's fair to say that you will see that from and look, we're obviously, that's the beautiful thing about Stellantis, right? We're a global. I mean, Ram is more global than ever. I mean, historically, we've been focused on North America only, and so proud of what we've been able to do in some of the international markets. But one of the beautiful things about a global company as Stellantis is that you get to leverage all of the brands, all of the different technologies that are coming from both sides. So I think you're going to see. I think you're going to see that from our company certainly in the next few years. Yes.
All right. Well, we're about out of time. Any final thoughts you want to share?
Yeah, just again, this is the kickoff. This isn't the end. It's very much the beginning. Ram EV tech news throughout 2023, leading to the start of production for our Ram 1500 BEV in 2024. It's not that far away. We have a lot of big news, and I think this is a good way to start. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for your time, Mike, and have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, and we're back. The next EV from CES. Back in 2020, when they had the last time that they had a full-size in-person CES event, which more than likely triggered the global pandemic because 175,000 people there.
I was very careful at that CES. That was because when I got home, I had a big show with like 2 bands, and I had that show. Like I got home on Thursday, and had a big show on Friday. So I never used hand sanitizer. I used hand sanitizer. I didn't hug people. I tried not
look
to.
at you! You were ahead of your time.
Because I couldn't show up. I couldn't get home and then be sick.
Yeah.
Because so I was really careful at that CES, and it worked out pretty well for Robbie.
Well, during that show, in 2020, that was Sony during their annual press conference showed off a car for the first time, the Vision SO1, I think it was called. It was an EV. And it was unclear if Sony actually intended to ever get into the business of building cars. And
this whole Sony thing with their building cars, I remember. I think I've talked about this before. I called them. We're like, yeah, we're not building it. And then a week later, Motor Trend called them, and they're like, yeah, we're going to build it. And I'm like, make up your mind, guys.
Yeah.
Because they don't know. It depends who answers the phone.
Yeah.
I mean, it seemed at the time like it might just be, they put together a car to showcase all the parts that they make for cars, all the sensors, the cameras, and other stuff, and the screens that they make and the lighting systems and all the other various bits and pieces. Well, last year when we had sort of an in-person / hybrid CES, they showed a second version, crossover version of it. The first one was a sedan. And then a few months later, they announced a joint venture with Honda called Sony Honda Mobility Corporation. And they said, yep, we're going to build cars with Honda. We're going to use our technology, and Honda's going to build the cars for us, and that plant, that plant is going to be in Ohio, where Honda's got a bunch of other plants, so they didn't really show anything new during their press conference this year. Basically, the car they showed was a mildly updated version of the original concept from 3 years ago, but they announced a new brand. So instead of going to a Sony Honda Mobility store to buy your Sony Honda Mobility EV, You get to go to an Afeela store.
What
Afeela.
now?
I feel you.
Some
cookie.
branding agency got paid way too much money, I think.
Way too
Afeela.
much. Afeela?
You have to. I was talking to the CEO of Polestar a few months ago, and we were talking about names, and they have Polestar 1, Polestar 2, and I'm like, how come? He's like, oh my God, coming up with names is the biggest. Essentially, the thing was, coming up with names is a huge pain in the ass, and you have to have the lawyers. So it's, a bunch of people got together, and then they had to have lawyers, all this, like, this was months in the making. Afeela.
Yeah.
Man, think how many iterations that went through.
How many names?
How bad were the other names?
Well, the problem with trying to name stuff, especially something you're going to sell globally, is words have different meanings in different countries.
Which is a true problem.
So you got to find something that doesn't mean anything to anybody.
Yeah.
I even think of it's the Nissan Qashqai. Am I even saying it right? That's
something like that, yeah.
Right? And it's spelled so weirdly. And I remember talking to someone at Nissan, it's like, we tried all these different ways to figure out how to make that word work in the US, and no combination of letters ever rolled off the tongue the way they wanted it to sound.
So they just went with Rogue Sport.
Pretty much.
Rogue Sport.
Yeah, so coming in 2026, electric cars from Afeela.
Afeela.
One of the interesting details that they did change on the concept that they showed. Actually, I'm not sure if it was on the original or not, but it's certainly on the one that they had there this week. Is they have a media bar in the front. So a lot of EVs have these light bars across the front. Sony has a media bar in between the headlights where the Afeela badge is, but it can also display other stuff. And apparently, like during the press conference, I think they were showing a trailer for Spider-Man, the latest Spider-Man movie, like No Way Home or whichever one it was, or
I think that's right.
Whatever the latest Spider-Man movie was.
Spider-Man.
And and on the website for the vehicle, they show it displaying a charging graph. So it shows you what the state of charge is when it's plugged in, so you can see if it's done or not. So I mean, there's some interesting stuff you could potentially do with that, but I don't know about that name.
Afeela. Is the name
We'll just
like
get
a
used
set
to
thing?
it.
It's just
Like,
will we, Robbie? Will we get used to it?
I mean, we gotten used to the word Prius.
No, we haven't.
Which sounds a little bit like penis.
We have not. Oh my gosh, I never thought that.
Oh, there you go.
Thanks, Robbie. Thanks.
No, Afeela. I just think of Afeela Cootie, and now I'm like, all right.
Okay, so that's Afeela.
Oh my gosh, that went off the rails. Okay.
Afeela.
Next up, we have the BMW Vision Dee, spelled DEE, which is an acronym for what the heck is it an acronym?
Digital Emotional Experience.
Yes, there you go. I knew there was digital experience in there. I couldn't remember what the other
Emotional.
E was for. Yes, emotional experience.
Digital emotional experience.
So last year, when almost nobody showed up for CES, BMW was there with a concept. They had an iX that was covered in e-ink, the same stuff that Amazon Kindle screens are made from. And this one is also covered in e-ink, except it's not black and white e-ink like the iX Flow was last year. It's color e-ink. And it can change colors, and it was doing all kinds of funky stuff. I saw it in the BMW booth.
Did you watch it actually changing colors,
I did.
live and in person?
I did. And I got a little video clip of it, which I'll find, and I'll include that in the show notes.
Did it look cool or did it look weird?
It looked kind of cool.
Yeah.
It's like a party.
Yeah.
Imagine if the lights inside. If you get this exterior and the Mercedes-Benz EQS interior, woo!
I'll drop a link here in the chat so you guys can see what it looks like going through some purple and yellow and white and orange and blue. So it is actually kind of cool. I mean, the nice thing about it is you can easily change the color no matter what your mood is on any given day. You don't have to get your car repainted. You can just pick a color you want. You probably don't want it flashing through all these colors while you're driving down the road, because that would be kind of distracting to people.
Can you imagine you're just driving along and you see this car just next to you churning 85 colors?
Yeah.
That would be
So
freaky.
many accidents.
So many. So many.
So it BMW didn't fully confirm it, but the shape of this car, like, ignore the e-ink for a moment. The shape of this car is actually probably a pretty decent preview of what the so-called Neue Class, the first Neue Class models are going to be. So Neue Class is literally German for new class.
So I went to Germany to see this car. I flew all the way
This
to
concept,
Germany.
or
Yep.
Okay.
All the way to Germany to see this car. They didn't have that color e-ink on it yet. And they didn't tell us they would have. They showed us this car, and then we went to the e-ink laboratory, and we talked to all of them.
Ooh.
The nicest people, super excited about e-ink. It was great. They showed us all the color stuff, and they were
Just
like...
make sure you do not spell it with a dash. So it's not E-ink. It's uppercase E, space, uppercase I, and K.
You're not the boss of me. Anyway, I'm going to put I'm going to M dash in there.
I got an email from them after the story went live.
Oh, you made that terrible
You
mistake.
need to change this.
Oh,
so I
my
sent it to the
gosh.
editors at Forbes Wheels and said, here,
You got
deal
to
with
change this.
Oh my gosh,
So
that's
I go
funny.
all the way to Germany. I sit down with the designer. Will we see the car like this on the road? No. That's what he says. And then a few minutes later, I'm talking to somebody else, and they're like, well, the iX probably wasn't supposed to be something like this either. Just so you know, the iX was a vision car. And I'm just like, all right. So I got 2 different answers from BMW, from the designer and from BMW, a spokesperson,
gosh.
about what this car will look like, about this design. The design, not with all the crazy stuff on it, not with the e-ink on it, none of that. Just the design of the car, which, by the way, is outstanding, coming to market. So now...
Well, I mean, BMW has said that the first Neue Class model will be, like a 3 Series size sedan, which is what this is. And if you're doing, a full-on electric, it makes sense. They've certainly gotten a lot of criticism for their current design language with the massive vertical kidney grills and stuff. And this, kind of goes back to a more horizontal look, and it's more integrated. And I think it looks, the shape looks really good.
It's amazing. It's wonderful. I would buy one. And the designer tells me no. BMW says maybe. I'm like, all right, guys, come on.
One aspect of this that BMW did say is real and is coming to that car in 2025 is the heads-up display. So in the concept, there's no screens at all in here. It's devoid of screens. No touch screens whatsoever. And instead, it has a full width heads-up display along the bottom of the windshield, and then in the dashboard, which is basically flat. I mean, it takes minimalism to a new level. It makes the interior of a Tesla Model 3 look cluttered.
Oh, geez.
Because basically all you have is this flat surface and a steering wheel. But hidden below that, using Shy-Tech, as your finger approaches that surface, there's a virtual slider that lets you select. They call it the mixed reality slider. And so you can select what level of information you want displayed in the HUD. So you can have just basic analog gauges in front of you, or go up to an augmented reality display, or even in one of the video that they posted, you can have a full-on virtual reality display. So as you're driving down the road, this thing is overlaying a virtual reality environment over the real world around you, which actually seems like a really bad idea if you're driving. I mean, if it was actually autonomous, it'd be one thing, but...
Yeah, I talked to them about that too. They were like, well, this is clearly not something that's going to actually happen.
Yeah,
because it's the front windshield, it's the side windows. Like when I was there, like the both the interior and the exterior of the side windows were displays. So like when you walk up to the car, it could have a picture of you. Like they made an avatar of me. There's a video of it on YouTube on for Engadget, and you walk up and there's like, hey Roberto, and then on the inside it has all the like the whole weird, crazy virtual reality world. And I'm like, well, this is not a thing. They're like, well, this is just something we can show off. They were just like, don't tell people this is coming to. It's a concept car. Settle down.
But the full width, augmented reality display, heads up display, is something that they say will be on the 2025 Neue Class. So that is real, and that's coming. And I actually saw on Friday morning, I was at a demo with Morelli, and they were demonstrating something very similar to that. They had an interior buck with a full width heads up display, very similar to what BMW showed. So they may well be the supplier for the system on the Neue Class. But yeah, I mean, we're going to see these kinds of full width, these larger heads up displays coming from more and more manufacturers in the coming years.
As long as they don't get in the way and I don't have to look down while driving, that's great.
Yeah. Well, and and I think if you're not going to put an instrument cluster in there, a traditional instrument cluster, then you do need to have at least some kind of heads up display.
You have to, yeah. And also just make this car.
Yeah.
Just make this car. That's all I care about. I don't care. You can make it with like a tack, like an analog tack. I don't care. Just make this. Make the D, just so I can make the D. BMW, make the D.
This would be the best 3 Series since the E36.
Oh my God, you're right.
Would.
It'd be so great. This and Hyundai make that hydrogen thing. I forget what it's called. Yeah, both of those cars. Both of those could come out and they could battle each other. We could do head to head. Like, what a wonderful world we live in.
If only.
If only we can get both of those cars on the. Which one would? Who would I throw money at? That's the
Who would I throw money at?
There's so many
Who
cars.
would get my monies?
These concept cars that I would like. Oh, I would totally buy this. I remember. I drove the ID buggy around Pebble Beach, and when I got back, I talked to one of the PR guys. I'm like, if you price this under $30,000, I'm just gonna buy one. I don't care. It doesn't have a roof, doesn't have anything.
I want it.
And he was just like, oh, yeah, They never did.
Yeah, not going to happen.
Yeah.
All right. So the final EV that was shown there is actually one that's real. That's coming.
It exists.
Yeah, I mean,
real.
They showed it. It was still in a camo finish. But it is an actual product. What we saw was, aside from the camo finish, was the vehicle that's going into production next year.
Go Volkswagen, showing a real thing.
It's the VW ID.7, which is the production version of the ID Aero concept from a couple of years back. So I will include the link to the ID Aero in the show notes, so you can see basically what this thing's going to look like without the funky QR code digital finish. But that finish that they put on this thing is pretty wild. Apparently, it's something like 40 coats of paint.
Whoa.
And within, like,
so it's not a wrap?
No, it's not a wrap because
it's actual paint.
There's a somewhere in there, there's an electrical layer. It's a special kind of paint, too. So they can actually change the colors of it. So it's kind of like e-ink, but it's not e-ink. But they can have parts of it. So if you look at the thing, the pictures of it, you see it in different colors, and that's all changed, from the car itself. They can change the colors, so this thing is roughly the size of an Arteon, a VW Arteon, and it is a hatchback like the Arteon. So this will most likely, ultimately be the replacement for the Arteon. It's based on the MEB platform like the other current ID models, the ID3, the ID4, ID5. And it's going to launch in China first, early in 2024. And then they're going to launch production in Germany middle of next year. And in the fall of 2024, we get it here in North America. Had a chance to chat with Thomas Schaefer, who's the head of the Volkswagen brand, the new head of the Volkswagen brand. And he said, yeah, we still think that there's a place for, even though, they just discontinued the Passat, he says we still think that there's a place for sedans in North America. And they definitely they're definitely going to bring this one here. And it's a sharp looking car. It's nice shape to it. And it's nice to see somebody doing, electric stuff, that is car shaped instead of SUV shaped.
And real?
Car shaped. Car shaped.
Real.
Look at that car shaped thing, and it's real. I mean,
Ooh, real car shapes.
Volkswagen's knocking it out of the park at the moment.
Nice. Bring back the cabriolet. That's all I got there.
Yeah, you never know. You never know.
We were getting a mini electric convertible. That's so. Just wait and see.
And it'll have a bigger 15-inch center touchscreen than the ID4, which I think is like a 12-inch or something. There's one of the things that Schaefer talked about was the software. Obviously, VW and their software division, Cariad, have had some challenges over the last couple of years. And recently they rolled out version 3 of the software. So up until version 3, the version 2.x stuff, they weren't able to, they couldn't reliably do over-the-air software updates. And they claim, they tried some, they did some, but some people were having problems with it where it wasn't working right. So the version 3, they completely rewrote the software stack, or mostly rewrote it, I think is probably more accurate. And especially the update component of it. And what they're doing with that, they started rolling it out in Europe, and they're going to be doing it here shortly with version 3, is you actually take the car into a dealer where they will reflash it with version 3, and then from there on, it should be able to do all OTA updates for everything on the car. You won't need to take it in for updates anymore.
They've had so many problems. So this will be nice. And it seems like it'll all be fixed before the ID Buzz comes, which I'm just waiting for them to open up reservations so I can put money down.
Give them all your money.
On a van so I can drive the dogs around.
All right. So that's the ID Buzz. And, it's funny.
ID7. I messed you up.
Yes, the ID7. And this thing, they were supposed to do the reveal event at a site on a dry lake outside of Las Vegas, about 30 minutes outside of, away from the Strip. Mm-hmm. And the day before, it rained.
Oh, no.
And turned the dry lake into a mud pit. Oh. So they had to relocate it and just do it at their pavilion at the convention center instead.
That's a stinker. Imagine all the planning that went into that fell to pieces.
You know what would have been great for that? The Magneto. For that mud. Huh?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
There you go.
I'm with you.
All right. We got a couple of questions from listeners. And don't forget, if you want to send us questions, please feel free to send them to feedback@wheelbearings.media. You can use the link on the website, or you can send them to us via Mastodon at wheelbearingscast at federated.press. So first up, this one was from an email from NR Fields, and says, you're all sending good messaging about snow tires where appropriate. Do you mean the ones marked with the symbol of a mountain and snowflake? And yes, that is exactly what we mean. So if you want to know if something is a proper winter tire, not just a snow tire, but a winter tire that has the right compound so it'll stay pliable when the temperature gets below 40 degrees, on the sidewall you will find a symbol that looks like a mountain with 3 peaks and a snowflake in the middle of it.
And it's actually called, technically, the 3-Peak Mountain Snowflake.
Exactly. Yes.
You'll see it, the 3-Peak Mountain Snowflake. You'll see it abbreviated. Not going to do it. Like the number 3 PMSF in tire descriptions on websites to indicate that it does have that rating.
There you go.
So that means when it's below 40 degrees Fahrenheit, the tire will stay nice and pliable. You'll still get traction. It'll be great. You'll have a much better time and a much safer time if you have those kinds of tires on in the wintertime.
Yes, we keep saying it, and just, guys, really, it's worth it. They make your car handle so much better.
If you live anywhere where you have
do it. But yeah, that's how you know. And if you're not sure, if you're not really sure, ask. I'm a big fan of the Tire Rack guys. I think they're amazing. If you call the guys at Tire Rack or even do their chat, they know what they're talking about. And if you need help figuring out what kind of winter tire you need, or if you need a winter tire, or what your all seasons are capable of doing, those guys can answer any questions. They're They're really good. I like them.
And they do a lot of their own tire testing.
They do.
And so, they have experience with almost all the tires that they sell.
Like they're not, it's not just, and a lot of the people that have been there for a very long while. So you have guys who are genuinely experts in all things tires and really know what they're talking about. So if you want someone to explain it to you or to talk to somebody without any condescension and just helping you understand what to buy and what's what and what's good for your vehicle, those are the guys I'd send you to Tire Rack every time.
And don't be a meanie when people ask you questions about cars. Speaking of condensation. Whatever.
Condescension.
That word. Some people are just so mean about, like, oh, I can't believe you don't know this. I'm like, don't be that guy or that gal.
No, I always say that, like, when I do drives and stuff or people that are new, you get someone who's a new journalist and they're a little nervous because they don't know everybody and they don't know everything, because none of us know everything, let's be honest.
Yeah, I don't know everything.
But that sometimes they're really intimidated and I don't like those people. But they're intimidated, and it's just like, just be nice. If you know more about something than somebody else, share the news, share the information. All of us started out not knowing anything about whatever it is we're talking about, like experts right now. So just be nice.
And some
to
of us
people.
Still don't know nearly enough.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's, it's like when we do like because I've been covering EVs and hydrogen stuff for a long time, and so there's like people who have been car journalists for like 20 years who don't know that space. I'm always happy to like, oh yeah, no, it's just this, and this.
Well,
because if you all standoffish and you don't help them, who does that benefit? Nobody.
You don't help anybody. So when I have
you're going to get a scoop that they didn't get. Ooh.
So this Mercedes that I had this week, we got some snow, and I took a picture of it and I shared it on my social media with it just plugged in and happily charging, covered with snow. There's like an inch and a half of snow on everything. And I put in like, yeah, you can actually do this. You can. Like, people are nervous about even charging an EV in the snow. They're like, what if it snows? What if it rains? I'm like, plug it in and charge it just like normal.
You think of water and electricity not mixing well, and
right?
Generally they don't.
Right.
But the way the charge connectors are designed, it's not a problem. You can plug it in pouring rain. You can plug it in the snow, and it'll be fine.
So I took a little picture and shared it. I put a video up and shared it. And it was funny because a lot of people, EV enthusiasts, said, it's so cool that you're sharing that because there's a lot of misinformation. A couple people were snarky, like, that's a stupid question. And I'm like, dude, that's because you know.
No,
if you don't know, then it's not a stupid question. And I said, I guarantee you there is a good handful of people that watched this and said, oh my God, really? Because they don't know. From the number of people that I get questions about when that thing's parked in my driveway, people. So, just be nice. When people ask you questions and
there's a lot of bad information out there.
Be nice. Be nice, people.
Be nice.
Make that your New Year's resolution. Be nice with what you know.
Super smart.
That's one that should be a resolution that everybody should be able to keep without too much difficulty.
You would think.
You would think so, but I could say something else, but I won't. All right. Mike Enos asked, do Tesla's demand problems just mean that the EV space is getting more competitive? I'm gonna connect this with another question from, based on the spelling, I'm going to guess that this should be pronounced Jari Peninen. I'm guessing Scandinavian, possibly.
That's a good guess.
But if I'm incorrect, please shoot us a note and tell give me the correct pronunciation. But Jari and Mike's questions are related. Yari asked, now that Tesla isn't doing as well, which of the electric car brands do you predict will benefit the most? So, Tesla, since we last recorded, Tesla put out their fourth quarter volume, delivery numbers, which were up by about 40% compared to 2021, although they had been projecting that it was going to be up by 50%. So they fell short of their projections and what most of the financial analysts, the Wall Street guys, were projecting. There's a number of reasons for that, and probably none of them have to do with overall demand for EVs, because I don't think that that's declining at all. I think it is that the space is getting more competitive, but it's also, I think people are getting tired of Elon, because I know several people that have Teslas that are planning to get rid of them because they are fed up with his nonsense.
Yeah, I mean, you have there's a lot of EVs. Before, if you were like, what am I going to get? Well, I was saying, I'm going to get a Tesla or I'm going to get a Nissan Leaf. And that was kind of it. And then I could get a Tesla or I could get a Bolt. And now you get a Tesla or you can get a Kia, or you can get a Hyundai, or you can get a Ford, or you can get a Nissan, or you can get a Cadillac, or you can. It's just, there's a lot. There's a lot more. There's more
Dodges
options.
and Rams and
Dodges
Chryslers
and Rams. It's just
or an Afeela.
Or a
Afeela.
or a Afeela. I mean,
Or an Afeela.
there's just more autos. There's just more cars in the space, and they're gonna continue to lose market share, and that's just. I mean, they should have known. They should have seen it coming. If they didn't see it coming, that's ridiculous. But I'm sure they did. But yeah, and who do you predict will benefit the most? I want to say Kia and Hyundai, but I still think Kia and Hyundai there's still people who don't realize that Kia and Hyundai make good cars.
Yeah.
That's their biggest challenge. You're
That
right,
is their
because people
biggest challenge.
I am not going to buy a car from them. I
Yeah.
feel like I have that argument at least once a week with someone who asks me about cars. You'd really recommend those? Yes I
they're
would.
very good. Yeah, I think that they're not battling like that their current cars aren't good. They're battling that their cars from 20 years ago were bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think
That's the truth.
Ford's probably going to be doing really well. GM, the Bolt is doing really well. I think a lot of the American automakers are probably going to do really well as they, as they introduce more cars. And I think Kia, as more and more people drive Kia and Hyundais, and they finally talk everybody into the fact that they make good cars, I think they're going to do. I mean, it's tough to beat them when you're driving
I'm curious
EVs.
to see how far they can sort of divide this market as they're coming out with all these EVs, because there's still a lot of people who aren't ready for various reasons to buy one. There's some great reasons to buy an EV, and there's some great reasons where it's not the right car for you, especially if it's your only car, depending on how you drive. Really, it's not the right car for everyone. So you wonder if the small chunk of people who are willing to buy an EV right now, and it's growing, but really, really slowly.
Well, it's growing a lot faster. I mean, we've gone from 1.5% EV market share in 2020 to 6% at the end of 2022.
I know, but that's still a very small considering what you had for EVs available in 2020 versus what you have for EVs available now in terms of your number of choices, and that amount of growth over 3 years. You can only divide that so far up. Like, what, you know what I mean? I'll be interested to see at what point it's like, okay, everybody's selling 5 because they just start selling, and there's too many options out here now, and not quite enough people ready to buy in.
I think both will continue to grow. The amount of people who want to buy it will continue to grow as more are available, because as more show up on your street, and as your neighbor gets one. I mean, we can sit there and yell at people all day and say, buy it, you should get an EV. Your second car should be an EV. They're going to listen to, Judy across the street who bought a Mach-E, or Bill down the block who bought an EV6, because they'll be like, man, I never have to go to the gas station. I don't have to deal with that shit anymore. I mean, the fact that my wife doesn't have to go to a gas station at 11 o'clock at night because to fill up the gas on our BRZ is outstanding. She just comes home, plugs it in. Like, again, my favorite story is that she didn't know gas prices had gone up because she hadn't been to the gas station in like a year.
That's awesome.
She's like, did you know gas is like $6 a gallon?
She's like, what's happened?
So,
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for sending in your questions and for continuing to listen. And don't forget, like I said, if you want to send in questions, feedback at wheelbearings.media, and we will try to answer them every week if we can. And we'll talk to you next time.
Bye, everyone.
bye.